look in page. So on page 229 of the prayer book, we have prayer for the beginning of teachings. We'll start with praise to Shakyamuni Buddha, which we'll do in Tibetan, and then we'll do the Heart Sutra in English. We'll offer a short moment. So page 229. Lama Dhamma Sumyende Jinshaman Rajam Bayam Desanjiri Badan Shazun Demban Devarai Shevan Jiden Yemban Jivurandu Bekalun Anam Baladam Hinam Jim Dumbasan Jishum Dendem Penya Shaidam tu malan chanze lon shudun yavun jil Yambazam den 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 shildan kajam bayam namam tolbesan Yivadan shazun demban devarayam Jiden yamban jivrundu Kalun yuvayam lanam elbal Adam binam gidem bazan gizum dem dem beyavay Şayam tubalan candım Çudun Jiden Kemban Jilbun Hubin Kalun Yub Lana Memban Lana Minam Jindum Basan Gijum Den Beya Vasayan Tuban Lan Chanzilun Shulun Yavlun Anyin Suun Kyun Taman Tse Sajin Delay Gomban Dumbo Anyin Jiden Denan Chon Jizun Tenzen Yegoin Kyun Lan Chanzin Nambang Gonglan Chudo Su Sang Wai Yishin Yai Su Se Yel Mo Hawai Jiden Sumon Na Lai Nyen Wan Kombo Shun Yen Jelai Shase Tsenshap Serkong Rinpoche Tai Vishe Sendon Tawan Kulan Chanze Didi Keda Siva Soma Jinyami Kenjen Joy Lai Chanze Nundu Jin Chedem Batam Ji Kemben Dumban Bosu Namayin Den Yazus Dijin Jela Chazi Lun Tai Bin Dun Jan Tewai Given Yizun Ben Jin Shui Dun Dun Nai Chun Yu Shin Yu Jilai Okay, so the Heart Sutra, Heart of Perfection Awakening Sutra in English. I prostrate to the three noble martyrs of blind ones. Thus did I hear at one time when the Bhagavan was dwelling on massive holy mountain in Rajatika together with the great community of monks and a great community of holy sattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of the how should any son of the lineage trained who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that in the holy Sattva Sattva Arya Holy Shari Putra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates of the present of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition of factors in consciousness are not empty. Shari Putra, likewise all phenomena are emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, aimless, not without saying, not the vision, not fulfilled. Shari Putra, therefore in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination. Position, no factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element, and so on up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on up to and including no aging and death and no extinction of aging and death. There is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shari Putra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, no mind without obscuration and without fear. And having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifest a completely awakened to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering. True, since it is not false, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Gate para Sangate Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavata rose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Bhagavan. And now we'll offer the Shloka.
In this booklet, do you have the praise to Manjushri? Because today we are going to talk about the emptiness. So we need special power to absorb this wisdom. So we need help of Lama and Manjushri together. So we do this prayer. You don't have it?
I don't see it.
Okay. So after the break, we do. Okay. After this. Sanje Jodon Zoye Jodon Janjun Badon Nane Nyarun Jem Naye Jenzon Yeve Zonani Dala Benje Sanje Noba Jo Sanje Jodon Zoye Jodon Janjun Badon Nane Nyarun Dagi Jinson Jebe Zonam Jen Dala Benje Sanje Dobra Sho Sanje Chelon Zoye Chelon Na Janjo Bandon Dani Dagi Jinson Jebe Zonam Jen Dala Benje Sanje Dobra Sho 동지 니제 선도 주베도 문제제 선자 가제 된저베 산나도 모든 인자존도 소반도 조션도 저 ramjam sonjo ogon la da yemi ge san da won de ge jo jo ze be ge da ge zo ba ye sin ze xin ni chuan da cha ze ban de zo ba la ma ron bo je da ge yin ge re bin men de jo na ge ren xin be gon ne je zo de zo tu ju go do ze lo so when we recite this praise to the Buddha Shakyamuni, at the end of the prayer, there is a verse saying, by the beneficial activity may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemies, greed, hatred, and delusion, may I liberate all the beings from the ocean of becoming, which is tossed about by the waves of birth, old age, illness, and death. Did you find that? In Tibetan it sounds Tsulam di tamje sivani gombang duni kyunji jadu. You have a Tibetan in this?
Where phonetics?
The phonetics. Oh, okay.
The praise to Shakyamuni Buddha.
I think so. The end of the like a dedication there. Last kind of the last. Yes. Yeah. Which page?
230. 231 at the bottom. By these merits may transmigratory beings attain the state of all-seeing, subduing the enemy of faults, and be freed from the ocean of samsara, disturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death.
Oh, that's one. So in there, so in Buddhism, what we talk about enemy is this one now. So outer enemy is just a very ordinary. This is not our main focus. The real enemy in Buddhism is this one now. So, so now, imagine that that one person is bullying and beating and making lots of harm and difficult to the one other person. So now, because now he's so hurt, and now he has a kind of a grudge, looking for revenge. But still, that enemy is so powerful. And then, and the other person is kind of helpless. He does not have power. And sometimes that person will lose even to think of take a revenge. He will let it go because he is so helpless. In this ordinary world we see this, but there are some people who look for a full revenge. And even he is beaten for many times, but then if that person, even he is so powerless, if that person can maybe after getting so many beaten up, but he can give one kind of a small punch towards that person. It's so relief. So in this sort of kind of movie that every day we see in Netflix, we enjoy that so much. But now, here our Buddhist Netflix, it is more designed, saying that now focus on the real enemy, which not only tortured us, make very discomfort, not only this life, for a lifetime, and it will continue. Your ordinary outer enemy is a story of a few days, few years, but this so-called or innate, or it's like every time who will travel with you, which sometimes you totally forget to say, I do have this enemy within me. So now, as in the movie, we have to first, it would be such a stupid thing for us to forget that I need a revenge. So this enemy, we need a revenge. This ordinary, this enemy is not ordinary. This is such an extraordinary enemy with us. Once you cannot defeat that, there's no peace within you. So now, this is the way, in this praise, it says, and having vanquished or eliminated the harmful enemy. So in this, how they translate in this booklet, can you check in this? Yeah. How did that say?
Having vanquished him, disturbed by waves of aging, sickness, and death.
Yeah, how it's described as enemy.
Subdue the enemy of fault.
Subdue the enemy of fault.
Subdue. Okay, subdue the enemy. So this we never should forget. Very important. And then, as you think this is my real enemy, so we need always a reminder, because now here, as I mentioned in the example, that sometimes we forget to take revenge. We don't have the grudge. We don't have this clinging to defeat that. Normally in our the day-to-day life, we have so many friends to tell, like, why are you taking the defeat? You should do something, sue him or punish him. There are so many friends who come to comfort us. But in this battle, in this practice, we need a guidance, we need a teacher, we need a Dharma friend who can always remind us, don't forget who your real enemy, which is within us. That we need some kind of information, that kind of a friend who can remind us. So that kind of Lama actually we need. So, if you look at the many scriptures, including the Lojong's, all they say, Dengzin, Jombar Chinjilo. It means this so-called demon, self-grasping, may I have a power to eliminate that. So please help me. Always remind me that is the real enemy within me. The real practitioner will always cry, not because there's outer enemy always making difficult to you, but they will always cry because I cannot challenge with the day-to-day life this so-called self-grasping. So this is one kind of first thing that we need to bring this sort of practice in our life to adapt or to have this kind of a way of thinking that I'm looking for this kind of a teaching, this kind of a teacher who can always remind me that this ego, this self-grasping is always my problem. And not just listen to him, but with so many reasons and logics and all any kind of help that you need to look for that. Not like when you listen one time and you think sounds good, but then move ahead with your old style. Then it is not going to work anymore. So not only listening one time, then think like this is it. So, and then now if you look back to the example, when you have a motivation to bring the revenge, to bring down and maybe giving a small punch to this negative emotion, time to time, when you do this, you need a special weapon to challenge with that. Without a weapon, if you are sent to a war, how powerful you are motivated, you have all this motivation, or you feel so courage to go into war, that's stupid, because you don't have a right weapon to fight with. So that weapon is not other than now today what we are going to talk about, which is the wisdom. So, and where do we find this? To sharpen this weapon, who can provide us this? And Lama Tsongkhapa said, not other than the Nagarjuna. So that's why Nagarjuna is well known as the second Buddha. The Buddha Shakyamuni has given the teaching, and then the Nagarjuna, I think after 600 years, Buddha passed away. Then he came. 600 years, right? 600 years later, then he come up with, these teaching should be, this kind of practice should be done like this, because this is the right way this is the right commentary, this is the right explanation to that. So he wrote all these scriptures. So then, and then one of the great masters in Nima, Duttu Tempe Nima, one of the greatest scholars. He is quite a letter to Lama Tsongkhapa. He advised his students, in order to practice Dzogpa Chenpo accurately, the person does not have an understanding of Nagarjuna's way of explanation on Pasankika's the view, wisdom, forget about Dzogpa Chenpo. And that was his teachings. So that's now this is the takeaway. There is no far better to sharpen your weapon, the wisdom, whatever the Indian masters. That's why His Holiness always emphasized us to study the 17 Nalanda Pintitas. This weapon is so powerful, should be so powerful because our enemy is so powerful. One great master said, it is so fortunate to not only just think, to say that negative emotion is my enemy. Even saying this, I feel so powerful. Because many people in this world never think like that. So this is something that all these great masters put so much effort, and this is why these teachings of the 17 Nalanda Pintitas are to sharpen our weapon, which is the wisdom. So this is something we need. And then with this kind of a weapon, we have a right weapon. We have a motivation to fight. But then, you know what? When the real war happens, then what happens is, still there is a big challenge that we cannot move forward. That requires another courage to do that. That encouragement, why if we check, then this always great master says, because we think about what will happen to me? What will happen to my family? What will happen to my house? What will happen to that and that, name and all this. So similarly, when the practitioner sets the journey to fight against the negative motion or the self-grasping, who really takes our encouragement to do that is the eight worldly concerns. That's it. So, and then it is very necessary. I'm saying not just jump without understanding anything and then go to receive a teaching or take an example of how to fight with the eight worldly concerns. Not much point there. But once you have all this requirement, this is done, then you need to set off as an elder. So now I don't care. Even I die in this cave, even my body and the bones will dissolve, even my body will turn into a kind of a tree or flower. I will die happily here because I have started the war here. Doesn't matter his attitude. Because Maharaj has everything, that weapon and encouragement, and now his way to challenge is the eight worldly concerns. So this is how then some people become monks, nuns, some people become tantric practitioners. Because all this you see is the steps. Without these steps, then you become a kind of monk or nun or something. Very good. But without these steps, it is difficult to challenge. So, all these studies and then analytical meditations are so required that to sharpen our weapon so sharply that is something that His Holiness always encourages us to do. So that's why he says, I have so many other practices. He says I do all these tantric practices because he received so many initiations. He says I die 8-9 times a day because of the dissolution in tantra. But then I do very fast. I don't lie to you. I do very fast all this. But I always put my emphasis practicing the Chandrakritis, entering to the middle way. That really comes to so handy. So this is, he always encourages us to do that. That's his message. And if you look at the Lama Tsongkhapa's advice, the three principal aspects of the path, at the end of the teaching, he's given this advice to one specific student of his. And he said, now because you know all the main points of the three principal aspects of the path, because you know, he knows that, you know, now you are ready to go and to go isolated. That's it. And then you know what? When the Milarepa, one of his students, how do you say Tabulaji? You have some other words for him? That's it? Tabulaji, name Tabulaji. One of his students, he received so many teaching and such a great practitioner. Then, when he asked permission to go and do isolated and do a strong retreat. So the Malaya knows now they were not going to meet in this life again. And then he said, when he approached before departing, Tabulaji goes to Malaya and asks for any kind of last advice. And then Malaya looks at him and said, I have taught everything. I have given almost every instructions and teachings. So now you are ready. You can leave. And when he said almost everything, there's one thing left. And then Tabulaji said, what is the one that you really wanted to tell me? He said, no. So I have given everything, you go. So Tabulaji leaves the place, and then Milarepa looks from his cave. And then when the Tabulaji was going, and then far away, Milarepa, with a great compassion, he calls, come back. And then once he come back, and then he said, I'm going to give you my last bit instruction. And then he makes a prostration. So Tabulaji thought there will be one kind of a great teaching explanation. So he sat down and with the mandala and said, and then he said, this is because you are so dear to me, you are so respectful to the teachings, you take each and every my teaching so seriously. So you are a perfect person to show this, to give this kind of instruction to you. And then he stands up, and then he pulls out his, I don't know, robe, the rose white robe, and then he shows his, what's that called? Butt. He shows his butt to him and said, look at it. And then he was so shocked to see the Milarepa's butt is like a...
Callus.
What's that?
Calluses.
Calluses?
Calluses.
Calluses.
It's when you work hard in this.
Oh yes, calluses. It is not a human's butt anymore. And then he showed to him, and then without any kind of explanation, Tabulaji, full of tears. And then he said, you are an incredible person. Now I know how much you put effort in the Dharma. That is a solid teaching for me. And then he laughed and said, now you're ready to go. So, imagine we might get a kind of have a picture of this Milarepa's that's with respect to Milarepa. Even we have maybe like 8K, 4K, 8K this resolution or the picture of Milarepa's precious in front of us, nothing will give any change to us. Why? Our mindset and the time is not ripened yet. Because why? So I told you that steps. First, we don't have a wish to set a journey to fight to the right enemy, which is our negative emotions. Second, we are not looking for the right weapon. You listen to this somewhere like, okay, this sounds interesting, but you never thought like this is the right weapon to bring the peace within you. Third, when you are really trying to fight, then what is really stopping you is the Milarepa's teaching. Now when you see this, to how much Milarepa has sacrificed. And then now, even the Thamol Haji, his student has done so much kind of effort or accumulated lots of merit. This hardship, hard work that he has put in, compared to Milarepa, it's nothing. So that brings more encouragement to him to, like, my Lama is giving me this instruction. I'm really going to do this. So also this reminds me my predecessor's father, Serkong Rinpoche, in Tibet when he gives a teaching. And then he gives very powerful teaching and then he pauses. And then he looks around his students and then he says, I don't think you can get this kind of realization because my realization, I put so much effort. It's not the easy that you just sit in a very comfortable seat and then thinking like, why the realization is not coming. I put all my effort. So what I'm speaking from here is through so much I put effort and it's coming out. So it's not easy that you think like, why I cannot do this? This is too much stupidity. He always tells this to his top students. And then you know what? His Holiness Dalai Lama, who is our now these lives, the representative, and who is not other than the Buddha himself, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, doing all the prostrations. And actually, for him, he might not need it, but it's a clear message to us. And that he's doing, voluntarily he's doing, not to show off. But it's like, if you really want to do it, put little effort there. That's what His Holiness' message to us. So, going back to the now, it's really up to individually that how you want to fight, bring the fight or the war. But the most important to take away is you need to, now maybe like day or tomorrow will be our last session. So once you leave from this place, not only I'm in the road institute, but from the Bodhgaya, why Buddha Shakyamuni is such a great teacher? What is the difference between all the great teachers on this planet? Why Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings are unique? Because he is the one, he conquered his own negative emotions. And then he proudly said, unless you don't conquer your self-grasping and self-cherishing, there's no way to get liberation. And forget about helping the sentient beings. Once you can get the liberation and then self-cherishing, then nobody can stop you to work for the welfare of others. That was his message. And that's why if we need this kind of set of mind, and then you are in the right place, and you really need to take away from this holy place, this way of thinking. So, and for this, one-time listening is not enough. Then you need to have a right attitude, right teachers, and then you need to stay in the right environment, which is very important. So then, I always tell my friends and students, you will never ask, who is my right teacher? Because you know what is the right teaching for you. If you know the right teaching, then you know who's the right teacher for you. Because you don't know what is the right teaching for you, you will say, who is my right teacher? Then there's a problem. If you know what kind of antidote, what you need, then you did your homework. So this is something has this motivation. We need this. And then when you listen to some of the teachers, you will know this teaching sounds very amazing, very motivational speech teaching, but I don't need this. It's more like you going to the supermarket, and you know you have your list what you really need, and then you are not going to shop everything, and you know precisely what you need. So then you won't waste your time, and then you are going to look for the right teaching. And then you will listen, contemplate, and practice. And then you know that teaching is right teaching or not. So in this now, today the mosquito, I think this mosquito was following from last night. Because he loves this finger, because last night he was biting here, and also this one is biting here. So okay, so now as we covered a little bit of the section on meditating on deity. And as I covered a little bit of how to use methods of the Tantra, it is not to gain a power, to become famous, become wealthy. I never kind of came close with any kind of my students and friends that saying a ritual, doing some ritual, because I need lots of merit to bring down my negative emotion. I never crossed anyone in my life. It's more like I'm going into surgery, let's make a prayer, and all this. So, all the definitions, all the pujas, all the everything, it sounds like all these rituals are designed to bring some kind of a relief in this life only. So I already see all these kind of mistakes. So, as I always remember my teacher's advice, may I have this power, all these tantric powers, after I get a renunciation and a great compassion. That's such a great teaching. So, and then mostly you need to see, as a tantric practitioner, whenever you are going to use this to bring the subtlest mind, energy, all this, do you have any motivation that is only to use to bring the full enlightenment? Or are you going to use this to achieve some kind of use of this life, for this life only, benefit for your own good? Mostly it looks like you only need to use this for this life. When His Holiness Dalai Lama shared this incredible story many times, many people have not much felt strongly why His Holiness is saying this, because His Holiness one time, or a few times, he mentioned that he had a dream, very clear dream, when the great Avalokiteshvara statue in Tibet, I think in Bodhgaya, and that Tujichipo Rangjung, this Chenresi. So then one time he was going outside and then he sees this statue in a real life form and kind of giving a signal saying, come here. So he approaches to the statue of the Chenresi, and then when he sees the Chenresi, and then it's not like he has so much respect, like bowing and nothing, but he just goes there and hugs him, Western style. Hugs the Chenresi, and then he whispers into Chenresi's ear, and he asks one question: do you have direct realization on emptiness? That's His Holiness Dalai Lama's message to us. And then Chenresi's answer was, yes, I do have. that is the real feeling that statue needs, the holy object needs. This is it. But how many of us, when we have go to the Buddha Shakyamuni statue here, and then how much we have thanked Buddha that giving the teaching on emptiness and dependent origination. Very few. You know how much we feel so joy. And not much there. So, like this, even you see the whole image of the chariot in front of you, but if you cannot get any teaching on a compassion, and especially on emptiness, there's not much use there. Lama Tsongkhapa used his manjushri to ask how to get the realization. It's not like once he sees the manjushri and the wisdom is there. Never. So he will guide which teacher to follow and which text to emphasize and what kind of the accumulation to accumulate merit. This guidance will be given by the deity, for sure. But not like you have now seen me directly, you got the ticket. It's not like that. It wasn't like this. Otherwise, this will be such a strong contribution towards the Buddha's the quotation that yesterday when I said, the sages cannot wash your, in here it is a very funny word, what was that? Crimes.
Sages do not wash in water, but crimes with water.
Not crimes. Oh, what was that?
Misdeeds.
Misdeeds. So that's something. So we should always have this encouragement to fight. So now I'm trying to go back to the point where I have started. He's here still. And my compassion is going to run out. 6, 7 times. Yeah. So, so this is, then we will bring this kind of doubts, because it's good doubt, because many lamas like it, we don't need to think so many, because it's just from here, the Saranath, where when Buddha got fully enlightened, and then when he gave his first teaching in Saranath, Four Noble Truths, and then when he gave the first teaching on the Four Noble Truths, by saying few words, these 5 students immediately gets the realization. And then what we think like, wow, that's incredible. But we don't see. We don't ask like how much accumulated they have collected this merit. All these journeys, starting from Nepal, how many in the Sutra, Buddha said, this was the motivation when I gave up my flesh and bone and everything to these 5, the mother and the lioness and the calves, and then how much I generated bodhicitta, and so on, all this. This we totally forget. And then we just go there like, wish we can be like that. And with this attitude, we listen to the tantric teachings. With this attitude, we listen to Dzogpa Chambo and Chakra Chambo. And then it's not working, and then we just feel like, what happened to me? this is happening to this guy, why not me? So then we are missing a huge point here. So we have to make sure that ripening the right karmic connection and everything can wait. But your craving, your enthusiasm to bring this antidote should be there. Many practitioners, they practice like with the excitement. Like you order something from Amazon and you're so excited to open it, and then you say, wow, okay. Then you see this tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and then excitement is gone. And then one day this is pure garbage. This shouldn't be our practice. It's more like each and every day you see this. Wow, I'm so fortunate. So then we can feel ourselves the precious human rebirth. We're so fortunate to meet this teaching, this teacher, particularly this teaching. So we need to set up this kind of motivation. And now after the break, we continue with our third mindfulness. Okay. Sa shi bu shi bu men do tam le ro ne shi ni den yam ba san ye shin de me de bo wa ye ro gon nan da shin an je gra sho yi da guru ra na ra ni yo da ya mi In English. He's in the washroom.
That'd be him. It's like something else is connected to it.
He's not wearing headphones. He's not wearing headphones.
Tell him to wear headphones.
But the sound's coming through his ears.
It's creating feedback. Yeah.
Would you put with earphones on?
Tell him to wear headphones. Looks like it's connected to this one now.
See that if it isn't. It does sound like that, doesn't it?
It's late. It's late.
Oh yeah, totally right.
Yeah.
It's connected to this one now. It's just Bluetooth that like automatically connected it to like like that.
This is connected to that one.
No, but it's this one.
Okay, now it's gone.
But it just stopped it from
Oh, okay.
Lord Bodhgaya, your wisdom is brilliant and pure like the sun, free from the clouds of the two obscurations. You perceive the whole reality exactly as it is, and so hold the book of transcendental wisdom at your heart. You look upon all beings imprisoned within samsara, enshrouded by the thick darkness of ignorance and tormented by suffering, with the love of a mother for her only child. Your light speech, endowed with 60 melodious tones, like the thundering roar of a dragon, awakens us from the sleep of destructive emotions and frees us from the chains of karma. Dispelling the darkness of ignorance, you wield the sword of wisdom to cut through all our sufferings. Pure from the very beginning, you have reached the end of the 10 gurus and perfected all enlightened qualities. Foremost of the Buddha's heirs, your body is adorned with 112 marks of enlightenment. To Mindfulnesses, the gentle voice, I prostrate and pray. Dispel the darkness from my mind.
Chuni temba di kante ji kan songo do slami na ane di nang ron ya nang shin se de xie jie yi jing ko ro chuni de nang mo se ge nang ge chak je de tun gi ni lu shi ta na da le jie ba ne dong sang ji mo wo de o ta di chuni de xie se ba 다 되는데 나로야 송도와 다디 나로는 하란주 제시 쉬어버디 제자가 춘이기 뭐 최탐지기 정신 니루 타도베 모디 컨테지레도 슬라베 대주 진행디 컨테지고 그래 슬라나 가산 게레 좀 나시 받는 더 잡베기 아니 오마주기 나로래야 녀모다 녀모 샤베 아니 바자서 그래 녀모 깨버 제베기 시 아니 간테지래도 슬라 제제시원들 시라도 좀 텔레데 중샤 아니 던진데 중앙세요 이는 던진디 로 텐텐지 텐베텐베지 세주점에 아니 다음에 어디 간테지 아라운드 젠당기 로라야 샤르베 던진기 셴베 다로즈데 던진기 셴베 아니 다데 간테지도 디 아라운드기 셴바나신 루 민두 슬라브데 셴베 아니 신의 집에 제바체 텔레테니 다로즈데 던진기 셴베기 로나신 자원이 민두 세 상로디만 깨도 수고도 셴베 제장가 아주 니엘이야 계시슈디 가르치는 아주 춘이 추구요래 가르치는 당진기 모두 추구요래 당진시 다른 모두 추구요래 당진기 신배 신세계 다른 신세계 시 다른 모 가르치는 추구요래 세 상로디냐가야 세워서 모두시 얘는 다뭐 가르치 최단적인 신리로 다도 가르쳐서 남상도 때리나 마지막으로는 칼라서 좋아지 다다 내려오는 봐 어디서는 샤체 제장가 아니 최단지 니로 간디지 나기고 간디지 세는 상도티 그냥 당보만 줄 상도 그냥 뒷대부서 그랬어
So here, now moving on.
시골다 시골에서다 저거 시골 대가
Yeah, Shiva. Yeah, so then we come on to the fourth of the mindfulnesses contained within Gyawa Kasangatsu, Song of the Four Mindfulnesses. And this verse is really talking about the Dharmata, which is, the way, the sort of reality, the ultimate reality, or the way things are. And here, this verse explains this ultimate sort of nature of reality, this dharmata, which is the ultimate or final mode of the way that self and phenomena abide. They're the sort of ultimate status. And in looking into this status, Kasangatsu says, the appearance and evolution in the mandala of the objects to be known is pervaded by the sky of ultimate reality, the absolute clear light. There is the ultimate reality of inexpressible meaning. Abandoning mental fabrication, look at it in the essence of total emptiness. Not letting your mind stray, place your mind being in the nature of ultimate reality. With unforgetting remembrance, hold your mind being in the ultimate and the nature of ultimate reality. So here, when talking about this ultimate reality, and particularly when talking about it in relation to the person or the self, Chandrakirti in the 6th chapter of his great text, The Entering the Middle Way, he talks about how the misunderstanding of the way things are creates problems by saying that that all the afflictions, the mental afflictions, and also the faults, which can also such things as the sort of karmic impulses or the imprints which are laying down by these mistaken ways of seeing things, they all come from an underlying cause of self-grasping. So self-grasping, clinging to a self which has an intrinsic existence. And he also points out to us in that verse that this self of the identity view, he points out that this self, this identity view, this clinging to an inherently existent self, is actually a mind which is not in accord with the way things actually are. They're not in accord with the way the self exists. So what he says to us is that all these, not just the self, but all phenomena as well, the way they appear to us and the way that the mind of self-grasping or clinging to the phenomena to exist inherently apprehends the way, the object, the basis of that clinging or apprehension of that mind, as we can call it kind of clinging, that the object, the base which that mind of self-grasping clings to, that self, doesn't exist at all. So we start out in our search to understand these things by looking at the sort of nature and entity of phenomena, and also, the way that the mind of self-grasping operates, and we understand that the object that it clings to doesn't exist. So the mind of self-grasping is not in accord with the way things actually are, and then we're sort of looking into the natures of what self-grasping is, the nature of the actual nature of the self. And this is the sort of way in which our investigation sort of proceeds to understand these, and indeed all phenomena, not just the self, but all phenomena, in order to understand their final or ultimate mode of existence. And so, just as you need to get a taste of a food in order to create some sort of interest in it, so we need to sort of develop our interest in these topics. The topic of the ultimate reality.
Tene da chezanga tanda 다디 지제도 나로야 아니 중이 된them 외색이 나게 캡슬을 아니 말하는 저 탐지기 아니 정신 내로 단 탈도 것때 아니 간대지를 쓰지 다제 제주시에 보여야 내가 가와도 그러잖아 아니 말하는 민두비 대샤시 민두비기 동해 대용사를 잡아 대용의 유 진행이 아니 대샤시다 이게 제대로 대다 탐지기 잡아들라 아니 띠무 등진 생이지 유여버지 상계의 송부도 송부디는 신제제 최탐지기 랑신스그래 아니 말랑 조금 개체주대 나도 준비 등진기 시딜 때네 그래서래 말한줄 묘모 남차도 계야라도 지금 로도시 공대리 지라 신에 아니 최탐지기다 인루 탄도거든요. 선도당하는 신이 명백이나 아니 인루 탄도 몸에 감대지에 세 선도들이 랑신이래요. 딜레 사르전에 신에 답변나 담보 소설 가서 그래 강사 소설을 맞아지 아니야 최신바지게 되는 시험도 알아는 되는 통배 답변나 지금 리저와 강진도 소설 간데 통배나 대다 탐지 정신 타도가 가르래 고랑이 뭐마디 가르래 그 인지티스를 인지게라 가르래 이 제주디 배디디 아주 체류 상으로 나오는데 토슈디 가르쳐서는 아주기 디 제주 지역이 사모그랑 저기 남셔를 리메이션 치래. 단디 레고에 내가 가르쳤으나 아니 최바지 상담 그러는데 제장가 요모 레다 모니디 아니 말하는 dum이 대ken제래도데 dum이 대ken게 잡아들여도스. 잡아들 가르치기도 슬라베나 아니 레다 모니기 레다 요모나 요모가 잡아라 요모 인신지 딜 잡아들이야 나도 좀 단진기 시기도스 나도 저게 단진 시테를 때네 로트비에 버티기도스 춤이 이지게 넘버지기도스 춤이 이지 넘도 깨기 시가르게잖아 나도 좀 단진지 딜을 기르면도 나도 좀 단진에는 춤이 이지게 넘도 로다서 시고라도스 디보로 잡아들고 소토리나 시네 아니 다우즈베 단신기 아니 다제 어디 가르치게 시도 모시 이루트도 가르치게 선물이다 지내려도 제와
So here with this sort of in line 2 of the 4th verse here, it talks about it says the ultimate sort of the ultimate reality, the absolute clear light is pervaded by the sky, and so this sky of ultimate luminosity, the nature of phenomena, pervades all things, all phenomena. And so this line also speaks to this understanding of what the ultimate sort of mode of existence or of abiding of phenomena is, the way in which they actually, their ultimate way in which they actually are. And we have to sort of connect this understanding to our sort of our personal lives in the sense that there are many sufferings that we have to face that we don't want, and therefore we have to look. We start to look to what the cause of those sufferings is, and that we see underlying them as the principal causes is our attachment, aversion, and the other range of mental afflictions. but those don't, underlying those, lying at the root of those is confusion, ignorance, and that is ignorance about the about the nature of things, what is the actual nature of things. So, what self-grasping and in terms of the self, what acts as the sort of base for all of those other forms of afflictive mental states to arise is this mind of self-grasping. So that lies under all of them, and then from that base, that sort of foundation, then all of the other variety of mental afflictions then arise. And so this base of this self-grasping is a sort of misunderstanding of the way that things really are. So the way that things exist, the way that things really exist. This grasping acts it sort of apprehends things not in the way that they exist. So what we have to do is really investigate this. It's important for us to ask questions about this, whether it's in relation to the person of ourselves, or it's in relation to all the other, in all phenomena that appear in front of us. Then it's important for us to ask ourselves, what is the ultimate nature or reality of those phenomena? What is their ultimate way in which they exist? So sometimes we don't really we don't really do this this really sort of serious kind of questioning of what the sort of the ultimate nature of self and phenomena is. We should be in science, these kind of real questioning is valued as one of the highest forms of investigation in the scientific kind of world. But no, we don't. It's not so common for us to bring that form of sort of analysis and investigation into the world of the Dharma. And so we have to not be looking at the source of our problems as being sort of karma or mental afflictions at that level, but looking deeper into the roots of what causes the mental afflictions and what has caused the karma, and seeing that lying deep underneath those is this foundation of the self-grasping. And what then happens on top of the self-grasping is that what's called inappropriate attention, or it's an inaccurate engagement with phenomena, and then from there all the attachments, the aversion, all the other afflictions arise. And if we don't have self-grasping at the foundation of this process, then inappropriate attention will not arise and the mental afflictions will not arise. So we need to sort of investigate this whole process in this way.
So I think 2-3 years ago in Italy, when we are going through the Clear Woods by Chandrakirti, the 15th chapter, which talks about Rangshin Tapa. How do you translate that? Rangshin.
Analysis of the swabhava, of the nature of nature.
So during that,
nature.
the very beautiful how the Chandrakirti wrote that. In there it says, if you boil the hot water, and then how much you boil the hot water, the heat is not the nature of the water, because after a few hours, minutes later, it will go back to cold. So it shows that is not the nature of the the heat is not the nature of the water. And then Chandrakirti also says, remember that this is our dialogue. So in the Chandrakirti also says, in this world people say the nature of the fire is heat. But Chandrakirti says, in the world they say like this, but I stand my position, the nature of the fire is not the heat. So that shocks, he says that will shock the whole world. But the true nature, now it's here. So the true nature of the phenomena, the self, is something that you cannot actually pinpoint. There it is the one. So for an example, the Chandrakirti and also Nagarjuna says, if you can find one single atom to represent, single atom that is a person from the five aggregates, then it proves the person exists by its own, inherently. So then it also His Holiness' favorite quotation in the entering to the middle way. It says, "Janantirwa, ane tanda nyamsha yishi di ane ngobu jiju tebe tewa. Nyamsha yishi di lo tunju nyamsha yishi di kati ngobu gi nilu tizu che tamji kurangi ngobu ni ruba ji yuna ane nyamsha yishi di ane ngobu meba suni di chawa reyos."
So this Holiness particularly references three verses from Chandrakirti's Entering the Middle Way in the 6th chapter, and one of them is that where he talks, there are 3 or 4 consequential arguments presented by the Prasangika school to those who accept the intrinsic nature of phenomena, the inherent nature of phenomena, and he says that if the first of the arguments of these consequential arguments is that if you accept that things have an intrinsic nature, that things exist by way of their own entity, then because the Arya being's meditative equipoise on emptiness doesn't see those, then it would destroy. Then the Arya's meditative equipoise would actually destroy all sort of things, all regular phenomena, because they are not. It's a mind that sees the truth, and they are not seen by this meditative equipoise on emptiness.
So, for an example, when we say the nature of the fire is a heat, then you feel the heat is the fire. So you just can grasp to something. So similarly, in the lower schools, when they say there is selflessness, there is emptiness, but there should be something from the aggregates which is a person. So then the Chitta Mantra and the Savatantrika Madhyamika, they bring the consciousness is a person. So then they can just, if there's nothing so-called person within the five aggregates, then it sounds like nihilism. So that's why the great masters from the the lower schools, whenever there is a Prasangika school teacher coming, they run away from him. Because they don't want to hear, they don't want to disturb their understanding of the dependent origination. But the Prasangika school teachers, including the Chandakirti, they are saying, we are not here to give you teaching on nihilism. We are here to make the profound teaching on dependent origination. How much you are saying the dependent, but if you still hold on something that says like there is truly exists by its own, this is a huge contradiction. Saying like use your own common sense. That's a big discussion. So, and then the Chandrakirti's favorite way of this analyzing on the things does not exist. One of the most powerful research on the example is the tope taksam sechiba, chetamje tope taksam, merely imputed sebe.
Yeah, being merely imputed by conception.
어때처럼 소미하스래. 제가 chetamje tope taksam seegi kohadina lola. 팔로이 파 샤바 잠시마도 코랑게 면은 두고 짜와니니 요마리 세기 빼델라 빼쇼도 줘봐 타달라야 주도 따베 안 주도 지다 따바 나신리 슬라도 점베 디기 코하드 나로라야 타달라야 주도 가수지기 팔로이 따원도 점베 코랑게 면은 주 매버디 짜마짜니 고고요 말은 줄아 타달 주다고 나신리 슬도 점베 코랑기 면이 주자원이네 매버지 레스 러빈 당동양 백이 시다가라니 아니 양조 한 주세 요레스나 디가 저기다 가자 타셔들이 내 인조 선배 디냐 버도까 디카고 좀전 가르스나 아니 만족이 니는 요모 도서 매버 쇠기치도 까고 깨지지 말이 코랑기 유모비니즈도 틈바 대응모비니즈 코랑기 디 코랑 요 말이 산지기 매버스와 말이 라마기 매버스와 말이 안주 매버스 뉴트니 매버스와 말이 거의 뭐이 니주 코란할 때 미두스 제자가 단지나 슈니 된다면 몇 세기 나게 캡샤스 어디 저다 드려도
So in the when we talk about this understanding that all phenomena are merely imputed by conception, then what this is saying to us is that the all phenomena don't exist at all from their own side. And what is a very clear and excellent example about this is the example of a snake being imputed or seen on the basis of a striped rope. And in that sort of analogy, however you try to find there is never be any atom of snake from the side of the rope at all. The snake can, however much you would impute on the snake on the rope, the snake can never be established from the side of the rope. So this it can never be found any form of snake at all, and so this sort of means this sort of definitive understanding of the fact that there's not however much you impute on the rope, the snake can never be found from the side of the rope. Once we understand that, what it refutes is the existence of the snake there. So it doesn't exist. It doesn't refute the existence of all phenomena. Therefore, the existence of all phenomena. So it doesn't. The understanding the lack of it, that things are merely imputed, does not destroy the phenomena themselves. It doesn't mean that Buddhas and all other sort of phenomena are therefore non-existent. It doesn't destroy them at all. It just clarifies that things do not exist from their own side. That's what the meaning of merely imputed is.
제장가 최탐제 똑배 딱sam제 시디 알죠? 최탐제 똑배
That's right. Sorry, I forgot to connect that. So Rinpoche then connected that to the second line here. So this is what it says when it says it's pervaded by the sky of ultimate reality, the absolute clear light. That's what this is saying to us. That it's this is connecting with this understanding that things do not exist from their own side but are merely imputed. Sorry.
제장가 최탐제 똑배 딱sam제 시디 전에 아니 똑배 가르 수서를 스케줄이 되는 거야. 아주 미망보지기 삼론나로 최탐제 똑배 딱섬 슬라나 아니 가르쳐서요. 아니 가르쳐진제에서 계제의 시비어데 이나연 반연 다와 자베기 최탐제 똑배 딱섬을 세 고하드나로라 최탐제지 뭐 니루디 데만에 고랑기 면에 니 주지기 가르쳐고래 정수토바 고랑 면에 예데베 직자원이 요마를 세 디 똑배 딱섬을 고하려도
Yeah, so it's a common sort of misunderstanding to think of this idea that all phenomena are merely imputed by conception, and then to think of that then it's whatever you think they are, whatever you make, whatever you want to make of them. That kind of people take it to mean that, but it doesn't mean that phenomena are just kind of just made up by mind. It's not that understanding at all. What Chandrakirti makes very clear to us is that what being merely imputed by conception means is that things are not primordially don't have a sort of primordial self-instituting nature. That's what the meaning of being merely imputed by conception is. Not that it's not that it's sort of made up by mind or whatever you think they are. That's not what he is saying.
다 디 모란족이 최탐지 코랑게 무에네 모두바디 거기 니루 타도바데 디레스 디 인도 잠베 다 아주 디간라 셈디 샤마토나 니루 디리지간라 셈 샤마토나 아니 가르스나 코르와레스 디간라 셈 샤토나 And
so you can sort of talk about it in this way, that if you, understanding that if we don't understand that the ultimate nature of things is that they do not exist from their own side, if we can't get that way, if we can't get the way of thinking that the ultimate nature of things is that they do not exist from their own side, if we can't get that in our minds, kind of stuck in our minds and based in our minds, then that's what we call samsara. And if on the basis of that, if we operate sort of in the basis of that understanding that all phenomena, their ultimate nature is not to exist from their own side, that's what we call a liberation, or a liberating way.
제장가 실어진배 나라야 아니 단다 지기 대야다가디가데 바라가데 삼가데 부대이 소하세 조야기 랑가도도 마손네 슈잡세 조도데 아니 진이 된담 대바디 아니 가수지기 로델이야 슈체 여바디당 엔텔이야 소남기 잡된 가수 슈체는 로바디게 아니 신이고 아주 마손네 초람에 좀 통놈에 고놈 아니 고놈에 미려람 조야기 아니 아주 마손네다 아주 마손네다 이 가서 그래 디바이스 마손네 슈체셔다데 아니 동반이데 제가 동반이데라야 용스 시라는 거 나를 용치모스게 충동한.
And so in the Heart Sutra, we the very mantra itself contained within the Heart Sutra, where it says Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Buddhi Soha, reveals to us the paths that lead us to the fully enlightened state, the sort of main paths that we have to follow. And these 5 paths, going from the path of accumulation to preparation, to the path of seeing, to the path of meditation, and the path of no more learning, are primarily sort of delineated in relation to a stronger and stronger understanding of the ultimate nature of things. And they are also influenced or affected by sort of increasing supportive merit. But the main sort of, this whole sort of device revealing the paths on which we have to proceed is really sort of mostly influenced by a deeper and deeper understanding of emptiness and the ultimate nature of things. And so emptiness is described often as the mother, as the sort of, the mother of all. So you can think of that this is why it is described in that way.
제장가 딘데기 단다 마람주기 삼로당당 디 딘데지 마람주 빼는 차당 모습 라바도 마람주기 아니 셈 모집을 쓰게 삼로 간디질레비 Pena susuji ngaji remedong ngani sun remedo sim depression sonrodan ta depressed chaya ki gyudinji gi na rol samroji tang du derina karo jine dinchi tsawa dina rol ya nga sini de shuchu shibuji yo sebe shibuji honro shuchu yodini dina rol nga sini de shuchu shibuji yo debuji chakoje서 shidina rol nga sini shuchu shibuji yo debuji 딘지지 예배기 딘지는 마디 아니 니래야 마디한 디스퓨트하고 서로 예배치 딘지 마디 정수도 보지 예배치 엔티니 디 지금 주민이 지금 도다단다 엔디 들었더니 착고도 교회다 안에 자외기 고유 지금 식당부부 때 말은 석이 다도 준비 등진 원진 될이야 교회 큐니마다는 대비이나 아니 차고 가지고 용으로 넣어이나야 단동의 차고 짝 계산이 시도지 단도 하고요레스 제장가 니 마만행이 봐도 니 매가지 마술을 봐도 아니 묘모 계산이 시도도 송고야겠는 것 같아 다 단다 아주 마선에 어런주 취미지기 또 가자 lot mistaken minds 남샤교는 아주 love 되거든요. 싸워대 왔다 mistake 차사들 고 당도되다 디레샤스.
And so here, if we look at our sort of way of engaging and thinking, and the mixed up with the whole range of attachment, aversion, confusion, and the way that things are so solid to us, and looking at how all those sort of afflictive states of mind bring us unhappiness, that they create they're really the driving force of our unhappiness. And even, we can see that it's its fullest extent when someone gets very depressed, when they're thinking, I'm not this, or I'm not that, this is not this. They have these sort of real, sort of get into a really depressive state. But if we look at that, the root of all of that, and particularly in a very strong depressive state, there is a very strong sense of I there, an I which lies as a sort of foundation underneath all of this. And yes, so this strong sense of I underpins all of these afflictive states of mind, attachment, aversion, etc. And initially we may have a sort of a little sense of clinging or attachment to the self, but then when the influence of the self-grasping becomes stronger, and then there's the influence of this inappropriate attention which engages inaccurately with the way the self exists, and then come the mental afflictions such as attachment, and then And then from there, all of our problems arise. So we have to understand that with the basis of attachment, unhappy states will arise, and lying at the foundation of all of that, the foundation indeed of all the mental afflictions is the self-grasping, and until that self-grasping is identified as mistaken and removed, then this whole process will continue to unravel. And so our first point of sort of contact, the most important point of contact, is to understand this mistaken mind and see how it operates.
제장가다 딘지기 mistaken mind lo truba 딘지 lo truba 디기 마랑 쪽에다 생기 라와 담아서네 가르 토르고 요래스 디 용어빈이 줄을 가르 여바디 토르고 요래스 디 가르 토르고 요래스라도 잠베 아니 코랑 긴외에 누 세기 시직 삼보지 코르자를 슈라 아니 찌를 떼니 용초고 요래 세게 삼로디 아주 삼로데 마수나 티페 삼로디 쪼고시르지 가츠 랑신기 랑에 코랑기 외에 도스 라바 되기 슈텔라 가리어서도 찌 떼니 요를 라비아디 깨제디 마수는 주마선로지 코랑기 외에 요를 랍잖아 찌를 떼니 요를 가츠라나 디 주마선로지 차도 요래 또 주마 차고다.
And so the problem with this mistaken mind and the way that it sees things is since it sees things to exist from from their own side, actually once it really starts to apprehend things, when it's apprehending things in that way from its own side, then there are many, which is a sort of this mistaken mind which sees things in an incorrect way, mistaken way, then everything else which is sort of based on the top of it, when we see a particular phenomena in that way, then all the other sort of factors which come on the top of that, seeing it to exist solidly sort of from its own side, are all, the problem with this is that the power of that causes all the other sort of apprehensions to also be false, because it starts with a mistaken root.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not making these things up. The Baba Viveka, no, Buddha Palita said in his text called Buddha Palita. So in this text he says, maybe the Samini Hakurba, Rangi Muyu Duna, Tene Tabi Chishas. Rangi Muyu Duna, Tene Tabi Chishas.
So he says that if something were to exist from its own side, what would be the need to sort of impute on the basis of it, to be dependently designated?
This is the, I think the key word, the main, I think slogan, how do you say it? Slogan of the Pasankhika school. So it is such a important when you ever meditate on emptiness. So why you are meditating on emptiness is to, unless you don't reach the nature and the reality of the phenomena or the self, then how much you say it's a relative, it's dependent, everything sounds like you are telling a lie which you really don't know. You are thinking like you are saying the truth, but which still it's a lie. So our kind of first mission, person who really wants to understand the dependent origination, dependent arising, if that person really wants to understand how the things function, then Buddha said, you first really need to understand the ultimate truth. So that's why when the true truth, why the first truth is ultimate truth. So this antidote didn't work. So he is a spoiled or upgraded mosquito. So very necessarily, so more you understand, the more better you understand the ultimate truth or emptiness, the sign should be the clear and better understanding on the dependent origination. That is the key. Many people, when they try to meditate on emptiness, they will lose everything, lost everything. And then forget about going into dependent origination, they will feel lost. So now, in person who is on the path to set a mission to find the ultimate truth, like Buddha Shakyamuni under this Bodhi tree, if we wanted to be like him, then most important is first you need to have a motivation, as this morning where I kind of request you all that first we need to have whatever necessary I need to do in my life in order to fight against the negative emotions and then self-grasping, I'm going to do it. That's something like the motivation to bring the antidote. So then once you find this antidote, then all these four schools is going to sell you the different weapons. So then how to say which one is perfect for you, this weapon for the bring down the negative emotion. So then most people will buy a weapon which is thinking like, if you use this, then it will bring down the negative emotions. So then from all the antidote looks like it will be working. But only the Prasangika school's way of presentation on ultimate truth will bring much better, clear understanding on the dependent origination. So for that reason, when the Lama Tsongkhapa praised Buddha Shakyamuni, he didn't just praise because you taught the ultimate truth. He said, there are so many teachers out there to give a teaching, who's selling the antidotes, the weapon. But you are the only a person or the teacher right after teaching emptiness that really brings a clear understanding on dependent origination. You are the one. You are the only one. So I praise you. There are so many ways to praise you, but the one best way to praise you is thank you so much for giving the clear teachings on dependent origination, which with the help of the Prasangika's presentation on the emptiness. This is how. So now, as a practitioner, the first motivation is actually, as remember this morning I said, that you have this mood of revenge, that you really wanted to hit this small punch, okay? Small little punch to the negative emotion you wanted to give. So then first you are not looking for the directly to the dependent origination. First what you are trying to look for is I wanted to bring down this mistaken mind. That is the first search. That's why many practitioners, when they first realize emptiness, when they kind of realize the emptiness, not the accurate one, but when they had a quite stable understanding on emptiness, then it sounds like there's nothing. There's nothing. Because why this is happening is first their way to rush towards it's to give a small punch to the negative emotions. So still there they can feel like, wow, even though I have so much clinged towards this self and the phenomena so strongly, so tightly, there's nothing like this truly existence at all. They looked at as that this is the nature of, there does not exist, this is the nature. They make a kind of a meditation on that, and then slowly this, when they looked back, step back a little bit, then it sounds like there's nothing. So now, this way we can, to prevent this kind of to going into the nihilism, what are the requirements that we need to bring into our practice again and again? Two things. One is the tip where the Chantakirti mentioned that we need to have a strong motivation before going into the search of the emptiness or the selflessness. We need to search like the yogis, they go on and search. Because they really wanted to give a good fight. Many people lose this. And then they will search like, oh, where is I? And then you see this body is not I, this head to toe you cannot find, within the consciousness you cannot find. And then there's no I. And then you feel a bit worried. It is not the way how we search it. This is not the yogi's way of searching it. Yogis are where I can see this, the cause and the effect relation. Because all this suffering, what I'm really suffering, the world suffering, me suffering, all this suffering is linked to the negative emotions. In the negative emotions, every negative emotion, there is always this ignorance has influenced everywhere. That ignorance, which is this self-grasping, that self-grasping, that kind of which I grasp to the self, that self, the nature of the self, does not exist like how I hold to. So then, once you think like, I'm letting go of that, wow, that's so peace, so relief. And that time, that kind of person will not encounter any kind of fear. More you have that. Secondly, what you need to prepare is, it's not like you wanted to actually tear down something, but you don't wish to build anything. The way of investigating into emptiness is, in order to know how things really function, then unless you don't see the nature of the reality, then how much you talk about how things function, you are not really talking about how things really function. Because there are contradictions. 코랑기 면이구나. 아니 때문에 따로 지시 차스 라바나신. 아주 단다. 뭐를 줘 지투리 딘지 라바나신. 아니 아주 개디 강사다 풍분이 있으라나. 강사로 풍분이디 오지가 타대 있으라고도 전에 다 말하는 게 오지를 따지려 봐. 강사다 풍분이 오지. 강사의 풍부도 오직 세디 오직다 타대 세디 랑신기 누나 아니 오직다 도바 타대 세계의 세상으로 요말해. 지금 직 인고래 타대는 몇 타대 인고래 제메 동신기 타대 인고래 세상가 오직다 도바 타대 세상 아니 지금 된 직계를 세상 아니 지금 된 직 두바래 용조 시설이 실이 가를 거네라고 그랬을 코랑기 뭐예요? 오늘 그거 뒤점매나 아니 지금 된 직도샤스라고나 남자한테 태워요.
So here, in terms of this quote that we mentioned here from Bodhgaya, where he says, if you accept things to exist intrinsically from their own side, where's the place for being able to dependently designate them? And he reveals this contradiction. And when we're one sort of form of reasoning analysis that we use is a reason called the reasoning of one and many, or one and separate, which is it investigates phenomena at the level of the analyzes them their actual entity, and to see whether they are either one or separate. And in particularly for our practice, analyzing the person and the aggregates, and looking to see whether the person or the aggregates are one or separate. And here, if we say, so we look at whether they're one entity or whether they're separate entities. But if you accept, let's say, the person and the aggregates you believe that the person and the aggregates exist inherently or naturally existent, intrinsically existent, then the consequence of this will be that if they're one, they're absolutely one thing, and that if they're separate, then they're completely unconnected, they're completely separate and completely unconnected entities because of being intrinsically separate. And so if you accept something for instance, to be either intrinsically one or intrinsically separate, then there's no way to establish those things in relation to others on the basis of others, in connection with others at all. And you're only able to do that if you can understand that things lack intrinsic existence. So this is a sort of reasoning which analyzes the entity of phenomena to see whether they're one or separate.
Mm-hmm. So this way of researching, where is this? For first we need to know the definition of inherent existence. And then what is this inherent existence self? So then once you have quite understanding on that, then the research. Now, why Heart Sutra becomes very important? Because if you look at how Shariputra asked a question to Chandrasekhar, and then Chandrasekhar's answer is he will tell you from the form body, from head to toe, saying no eyes, no ears, and all this. From any point of the, from form side, there is no, it can represent that I, but there's no I directly there. First, it might sound very funny, and then I have a very beautiful example which yesterday in the discussion group I shared. So, if it represents something, it is a representative of something, that means that is not that original, that I. But if you say he's a representative of His Holiness Dalai Lama, then of course we know that he is not His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So he says that represents our country. That means that's not a country. Like the flag, national flag of India is not India. So still we say India, India. And whatever we talk of, anything, we always think there should be something solidly somewhere there. This is the main thing that we cling to actually, isn't it? When you say, he is so bad, solid, that bad person. More your emotion, stronger emotion, you locked at somewhere. That kind of the object, that kind of person, it becomes so strong, so solid. So, that is the reason where in the Heart Sutra, it teaches us how to do very beautiful analytical meditation. Most beautiful. So from these two students will teach us how to do the analytical meditation, and where we wanted to, in the final, how we really wanted to become the Buddha. So Buddha in a meditative state, he can do all sorts of communications, teachings, everything. But still, it's very beautiful. If, before I said, if somebody can meditate and you got no influence of this meditation at all, then you are in the samsara. But you are every time meditated on the emptiness or the selflessness, and then still you can do all the activities, that's called Buddha. So that's what we are actually looking for actually. So why this way of this Buddha can do that, Arya can do that, why that becomes beautiful? Not because they can do it. More is we need to see how much we need that. It's not like in the movies when you see like Avengers, they have the power, all this, you think like motivated. But once the movie is finished, you really don't want to become like the Thor. Right? But in here, how and why Buddha becomes our protector is because this is something that I really want to do it, the Buddha does have that. This is how we invest our time, energy, everything. That's why all the people there are doing so many prostrations, mandalas, everything. Actually to get this realization. But sadly, if the person does not have this kind of motivation to get that kind of realization, and they are doing like a sort of just a purification, this is quite a, well, I cannot say completely wasted, but then it's a huge, big chunk of the Buddha's teaching is missing. So this is necessary that we need to keep in our mind that each and every time when you, we will always get the chances. Every time the negative emotion arises, you need to hold your breath for a few seconds and then meditate and see now, is it the real outside enemy that is really giving me a pain, or this is me holding so big? And my friend, Alex Brunson used to say, and he always tells his students, the person who have a quiet understanding on emptiness, they will always have this kind of mantra of thinking, I'm not going to make a scene out from there. So many of us, it looks like, because we are against the reality and we cannot accept the suffering, and we wanted to escape from the suffering, like a coward sarvati, coward, like a coward. So Lama Tsongkhapa gave such a great teaching. In a very short teaching, he said, the title of the text is how to take suffering into the path. That text. In the beginning, he said a very powerful statement there, saying, this practice is very, very, very important. But first of all, what is the requirement for the people who wanted to take the suffering into the path? First, they have to accept the reality, which is the suffering. Many of us, because we cannot accept the suffering, we wanted to transform that into a path, which is totally wrong. First, you need to accept the reality of the suffering, then you need to transform into the path. So that sounds amazing. Similarly, how do we accept the suffering? And then in the stages of path by Lama Tsongkhapa, it clearly teaches us aging, death, suffering, all this comes from what? Package? Rebirth. So now we are going back to that. Once rebirth is there, and one time His Holiness Dalai Lama was asked a question by a family, you can still watch that on YouTube, how to face the death. That was the question from the family. And His Holiness said, it will be very difficult for you if you don't take the death as a part of you. And then it looks like, I don't want a death, and death is coming to you. It sounds very difficult. But if you take, as this is a package, that should be there. Suffering should be there. It's more like now you are not against the reality, it's your accepted reality. Saying like all these causes and conditions and karmas are there, of course, they should be there. So then it is more relaxed. It's believing the law of causality. And then also some students, when we discuss about how to do some kind of pujas, it's not like you have a sickness and you make a kind of prayers and pujas and then the suffering is finished. That's too much. First you need to accept. One of the best examples when the person is suffering, saying that through this suffering, how much you can relate to this, to the karma, to the how much the faults that you have done, it's really ripening here. You can see this, then this is the part of the practice. That is more powerful than just saying like, what will happen to me, so what will happen to my family, all this fear. This one is much more down to realistic. I accept this. I have done that, it's coming to me, no worries. I will, now all this, then you are going to bring this to the one enemy, because all this happened because of this karma, that karma from this negative, destructive emotion, affliction, that affliction comes from not other than this grasping. So that all this suffering where you are going to blame someone is the grasping. And then the kind Buddha said what? My one mission in this, coming into this world and all this whatever for countless time I have accumulated merit is to give this teaching to the sentient being. If I cannot give this to the sentient beings, then it is a failure of my compassion. That is something that we need to hold so dearly. So in this, I don't know how much you understood, but I'm speaking, my English from here and my understanding from here might be a little different. 제장가 제들 된기 니룩시 되난다 세도점배 다 마랑조비 춘이 세야디 아니 마랑조비 된지 마랑조비 제들여봐 마랑조비 쌈도여봐 엄마도여봐 된지지기 싸우는 말했어 제장가 마랑조 마슴 제메 아니 셰라파르지 마지 미가 남겨 모으니스도 코랑기 면은 누가 싸우니니 믿으는데 아니 디 여가 가르치 때 모르겠어 코랑기 면은 싸우니니 매버디 아니 도스 요 말해서 대학에 요 말이지 들리려도 와 저제 된기 니루시 되나 니루스니디 코랑기 면은 싸우니니 누가 믿으는데 다이 저토가다 삼도 요 말이지
And so here, this line in the fourth verse where it says, there is the ultimate reality, inexpressible meaning, And it should sort of also say right there that the way things actually abide beyond expression, right there. This sort of, and this line is sort of talking to us about the sort of the way in which this nature, this dark, this ultimate nature of things is not something which is difficult. It's talked about as being inexpressible, not born. There's a famous, the famous prayer that talks about inconceivable and inexpressible, unborn, unceasing. So this sort of reveals to us that sort of they're from if things do not exist from their very own side, because Rinpoche conta chitra se digi pasana susugi nu ne mena susugi nu ne mena ani chitra meba res
korangi men meba chila ane ngaran jubi dada tokbe pados chije korangi yo mares shegan dosaral mares.
We can't get any sort of hold on. It's because things don't exist intrinsically or from their own side, then they're beyond. Therefore, there's no foundational basis for us with which to sort of think about them, to which to describe them, to use sort of language to describe them. So that when they exist in this way from their own side. So it says in this famous praise to Paramita, where it says that they're beyond words, they're inconceivable, inexpressible, this Prajamaramita, which is unborn, unceasing, and the very essence of space. This is the sort of prayer. So this is sort of pointing at this other line here in the verse where it says there is the ultimate reality of inexpressible meaning.
So if it is not expressible, cannot understand.
Conceivable, yeah.
Conceivable, better. Yeah. Okay. Conceivable. Then it sounds like we are helpless. So it means what if I eat a very delicious chocolate, okay, delicious chocolate, and then I am getting the flavor, the Switzerland chocolate with the nuts, wow, so sweet, and then it has all this texture, all is melting into my mouth, so good. How much I tell you, you will feel like a little bit of eating and you feel like that looks so good. But the real taste, what I'm really tasting, I cannot transfer that to you. This one is, I cannot express that. But what I can express something is a little bit of instruction to that. So Buddha is saying that the real meditation, direct realization on emptiness, what I'm really getting is, I cannot describe into the words, but still, but we can describe something in order to open the door to the liberation. I will share this to you. Then he says, why all this teaching, the sutras that I have written, is for you to enter to this, to get this taste. After this, I can help you. So that means Chaitanya part of seeing. So then, where we differentiate between ordinary person and noble way. Noble?
Yeah,
Noble, Arya being, we translate as a noble, right? Noble ones. how we distinguish between these two, why we are ordinary and the person who is a noble being, why they are noble and why ordinary. These differences, how we differentiate between these two, is not other than seeing, directly seeing the emptiness or not. Who has a chocolate in their mouth, and you are just looking at like a small, very poor beggar looking at a rich people and feeling like, how can I become like them? Similar like that. So then we say, you need to buy this chocolate. I cannot share this with you. You need to buy it, you need to earn this money. So then we have Deyatha, Gati. The first two, part of accumulation, part of preparation. So this is the collections of the karma, you could be married, and then you get the preparation. And then Gati, Paragati. This one, Gati, Paragati, part of saying, right? Part of saying. So this is something what it is explaining here. Jure tunji niluchi tenanda. Leje pangnes, leje pangne sede tanda. Ngaran zubita, tamimbi logi, lo rapachigi, lelabo tontuya ke yomarete, and kahantu lu tongsangi mogo tani shago trees, or the Baduda Shaguchi.
And then in the next line of the verse, it says, not letting your mind hold itself, abandon mental fabrication. So here, that's sort of abandoning that mistaken mind which sees things in an ordinary way and sort of intrinsically existent. So that's particularly that form of mental fabrication is the one that we need to abandon. And then we'll leave it here for today.
Sashi Buddha Mendo Tang Sangi Shinda Midi Pyoba Yi Indruga Namda Shinan